All right, let's get real for a second. You've got the physical tools to run. You've built a strong aerobic base. That's discipline, and that's heart. But what separates runners who finish strong from runners who just fade out isn't just training the body, it's training the brain to obey your mission and not your emotions. Let's break this down. Look, I'm not a coach, I'm not a sports doctor, I'm not even Tony Robbins. But what I am is a runner who's done a lot of running, who's run a half marathon, marathons, 10Ks, ultra marathons, stuff like that. So I'm kind of like one of your peers, let's just say. So step one is understanding the brain's trick. This is the central governor. Your brain has one main job, and that is to literally keep you alive. When you are in a race and fatigue starts creeping in, your brain screams, stop, you're dying. But here's the truth, you're nowhere near dying. You are literally uncomfortable. It's called the central governor theory. Anyways, that's what I'm calling it. Your brain limits the effort long before the body needs to stop. I know, because I've been there. And that is why elite runners can push through these insane levels of fatigue. Look, they've trained their brain to recognize the difference between danger and discomfort. So the next time the voice says, slow down, this hurts, try reframing it. Try putting it into a perspective of, this is just my brain testing my commitment. I'm not in danger. I'm just leaving my comfort zone. Number two is you're going to create a mental loop, and this will be your power phase. When fatigue sets in, logic is going to fail. You can't think clearly. You need something automatic, a trigger phase, something to kind of get you through. So pick something powerful that flips the switch in your head. I've used things like, okay, Dave, relax, just keep running, you know, from Dory. I've trained for this. Strong, steady, relentless. Keep moving forward, one step at a time. Let the pain go out your ears. The pain is temporary. Pride lasts forever. Dig deep, Dave, dig deep, dig. You repeat that on every breath, every step when your mind wants to quit. It becomes your mental metronome, your rhythm of strength, your superpower, let's just say. Step three is literally break the race into bite-sized pieces. So when you think you've got 15 to 20 kilometers left, the brain panics. It literally says, I feel impossible. So you shrink the battlefield. You tell yourself, just get through the next lamppost. Just run strong for one more minute. You've got this. Hold this pace for the next song, Dave. Each mini victory builds momentum. And by the time your brain catches up, you're already nearing the finish line. I've used this in a number of races, and it's helped me a lot. Step four is train the mental muscle in your training. Don't build race day toughness on race day. Like, that's not gonna happen. You build it on training days, on the days that you don't feel like running, the days that it just sucks to get out of bed. So here's a mental workout that you can do. So once a week, finish your 10K with a strong 50 meters or 1K push at the end. I've done this. It feels good. It teaches your brain, I can run strong even when I'm tired. Practice running in silence. No music, no podcasts. Learn to sit with discomfort. That there alone is mental armor. Visualize the race. Picture the pain that you're going through at, say, 7 kilometers of a 10K. Picture yourself finishing and fighting through it. Picture the finish line and how it feels to not give in when the going gets tough. Your brain will follow the story you rehearse. So step 5 is reframe quitting thoughts. When you hear, I can't do this anymore, you can literally say, look, it's not my voice. That is my fear coming out. I choose discipline. I've got this. And when you hear, you're slowing down, Dave, you say, everyone's slowing down. I'm just not slowing down as much as they are. When you hear things like, you should stop, you say, that is just the old me talking. The new me gets to work and keeps running. And step 6 is anchor yourself to a bigger why. Pain without purpose feels pointless. Pain with purpose feels powerful. I want to be clear. There's 2 versions of pain that you could be going through. One of them is physical. And physical, literally, is you cannot run. Something has happened and you physically can't run. At that point, the pain, it's telling you something that, look, you can't run on this. It's not going to work. And you could incur more injury. So at that point, yeah, your race may be over. But if the pain is like you're just feeling fatigue and it's a mental battle, like that's the type of pain, or let's say you have a stitch in your side, right? Can you overcome that? There's certain types, right? So you have to listen to what your body's telling you and try to take stock, right? Can I run on this? Okay, yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, well, maybe you run for a little bit and then take stock again and see where things are. But maybe at that point, maybe you do throw in the towel. Look, it's something that you have to figure out for yourself because you're the one running your race and it's up to you. But if you find that it's not and you can run through it and then after a little bit of time it does go away, or maybe you take a walk break and then start running again after a little bit of time and you realize that it's gone away, then good, you can push through these things. But again, you got to give your body a little bit of time to kind of evaluate what the heck is going on. So again, it all comes down to you, regardless of what I say. It comes down to literally you, and only you will know what the heck is going on and whether you should pull the plug on your race or not. So before your next race, write this down. Why am I running this race? Is it to prove to yourself that you're not done with running yet? You've got more to prove to yourself. To honor the new version of you who refuses quit, to show the 225-pound runner that he ain't done yet, but he has much more potential than he gives himself credit for. When your legs scream stop, your why whispers, run, Dave, run. Here's a little bonus. Shut the brain off technique, and I've seen it used by a number of elite runners, and I've used it myself. So when you hit the pain cave, because when you hit the wall, you can't run anymore, if you know what I mean. Relax your jaw, your shoulders, because tension feeds into fatigue. Focus your eyes 10 meters ahead. Count breaths like this. When you reach 30, reset and repeat. This puts your brain into a calm rhythmic loop, let's say, the flow state. And it's not about shutting the brain off, it's about giving it a job to do that keeps you in control. Look, discomfort isn't your enemy. It's like the doorway to your next level of a video game, let's say. Don't train to avoid the pain, you train to dance with it until the finish line. It's like when the race gets tough, I just want you to remember this. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows belief. So believe harder, because you're worth it. Right now, there's a lot of races that are being run. Marathons in Toronto right now, right? It's the TSC Waterfront Marathon, because it's October 19th, and this is kind of that time frame where that happens. And that was my very first marathon that I ran. And I know what that's like. And I did a race report on this race, what I was going through, what I was feeling when I was pushing through the hard times. And that's why I made this video, because too many times I would try to figure out, why am I struggling through this section? What can I do? So I armed myself with these things that I spoke about in today's video, and I think it was very helpful for me. And as I was reading through my race report, it literally brought me to tears, because I'm like, I did this. I did the hard thing. I put in blood, sweat, and tears to train for a marathon, and that is no easy feat. It is hard to do. So if you're out there running a marathon, if you're out there running a half marathon, even a 10K, or maybe you've just signed up for your very first 5K, pat yourself on the back, because it ain't easy, right? It ain't easy. Looking after yourself and your family and your financial situations, it ain't easy. Life right now is a struggle for a lot of people out there. And I'm just saying, from me to you. You got this. You're worth this. Drop the weight. Do whatever it is you got to do to make yourself feel better. Build up some weight. Maybe you got to build up some weight. Maybe I need to get a kite because man, it is flipping windy out here. Right now, I feel like I'm blowing away. So hopefully you can hear me on my mic because my mic is on my selfie stick right now. I don't know if you can. I'm just kind of rambling at this point in time. But look, I don't want to blow away. Man, it's warm. I don't know how it became warm because it's been, I don't know, the last little while the temperatures have been dropping down into these fall-like temperatures. And I'm not ready. If you've been following me for a while, you know that the transition of the seasons is always a hard time for me. I don't know why, it just is, but I'm out here, just grinding away, doing what I gotta do, trying to make it happen. I may not be running as much as I used to, but I still get out to look after this. Because too many days away from running, it affects my soul, it affects my brain. It's just the way it goes. I know for a lot of people, they struggle going uphill. Some of them struggle going downhill. Some of them struggle in the heat. Some of them struggle just to even start. And running is not easy, man. And motivation wanes so much, you know? Have that goal. If you don't have a goal, it's extremely hard to keep running. Even like during maintenance, like if you're running for weight loss and then you eventually lose the weight loss like I did, and then you're like, okay, well I'm gonna sign up for a marathon or half marathon. And then you start running those. But if you don't sign up for another one or another race or something else, just trying to run for maintenance is so difficult. For me anyways. So if you're anything like me, I hear you. I hear the pain. It is not always easy to kind of grind out the miles when you're kind of just aimlessly grinding out miles, right? Yeah, you feel good. Yeah, all of those cool endorphin things, but sometimes life gets really hard. Sometimes finances need to be looked after more than you need to set. I mean, sometimes you just try to find the time in the day to do what you need to do for you, but you also need to provide for your family. And so if you're a single earner in your family, or if your spouse has, been unemployed for whatever reason, or you find yourself in that position, your primary job is to get a job, right? To bring in income. And we tend to put ourselves back, right? We think, well, I can't do that because I got to focus on just trying to find a job, or I just need to get my income up, or I need to do this or I need to do that. And that's fine. But more than two things can be happening in a day, right? Like, sure, you can spend a number of hours looking for a job or going to work or whatever, but you got to carve out a little bit of time for you, because if you don't carve out that time trying to get into shape or finding yourself kind of reverting and going backwards, that sucks. And sometimes I think it's even harder to take than just kind of starting, because you already feel bad at the beginning, right? It's like, okay, yeah, I feel bad. My joints ache. My belly's huge. It's hard to put my shoes on. I walk down the street and I'm already breaking a sweat, or whatever the thing is. I can't fit into my clothes, right? You already feel like you're not in a good place at that point. But then, let's say you lose the weight. Let's say, yeah, I'm doing it. Boom, everything's all good. And then you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, this is good. You're walking your head up high, you're feeling good, your chest puffed out, you've built muscle, you feel awesome. And then you're like, life gets a little busy, maybe you start traveling for work or whatever it is, right? All of a sudden it gets you out of your routine. And then all of a sudden now you're like, oh, it's been a couple of weeks, maybe you go out for a run, you don't feel as good because you're comparing yourself to where you were before. And then you're like, all of a sudden you don't have anything to be training for, because let's say you've lost the weight, you've done the race and everything's all done, and then you're like, whatever. Honestly, it starts to wane, and before you know it, now you're trying to make a comeback. You've gained 50 pounds because your eating habits changed and you got back into old habits. And before you know it, you're like trying to start running again, and you're beating yourself up because you're like, I'm not where I was before. And that sucks, and we don't like that. So what do we do about it, right? You eat well, you train well, you sleep well. And life is good. So like I always say, get out and run. We'll see you on the next one.